Hello and welcome to the 5th episode of the Landscaping Podcast. My name is Joel Barnett and I'm your host. And in today's episode we're talking to Greg Soster of Outside Space. They're a landscape construction company based in Sydney and south of Sydney. And I spoke to Greg mainly about how he got into his business, and it's quite an interesting story because there's quite a lot of different roles that he did before getting into the landscaping business, which helped. So he worked in finance straight out of school. Also worked in advertising, hospitality as well. He owned a restaurant, so he's done a fair bit outside of landscaping, so he's got a broad set of skills. But what I found interesting most about Greg was the work he does in the community, and also how much he wants to increase the professionalism of landscaping. So he's definitely a good person to talk to, and hopefully you enjoy this episode. So here's Greg Soster. Welcome to the Landscaping Podcast. I'm your host, Joel Barnett, and today we're joined by Greg Soster from Outside Space. Thanks for joining us, Greg.
Thanks, Joel.
So, a landscaping company is at the south coast of New South Wales, is that what you say?
Yeah. So it's now kind of branded to the actual Gold Coast. So we're an hour out of Sydney, so the major hub, and we still actually do work in Sydney. So that's where it really originated. And then I moved down this area on the coastal fringe about 17 years ago, I think. So, and then just eventually migrated the business down here, and we got more and more call down here as well from doing major works in Sydney and a lot of residential work and emulating for designers and architects. And a lot of people wanted the same look down here.
Yeah.
So that's what we've pretty much morphed into now.
So how long have you had the business going for?
We're coming into our 14th year and going from strength to strength, thank goodness.
Yeah.
Even through COVID, we've been amazing. It's got a bit hairy there during COVID. But no, we've been going very well.
And have you always, when did you get into the industry to start with? Was it from straight out of school or?
No. So I have a diverse background.
Cool.
Landscaping is probably the predominant trade and skill, and I come from a lineage of builders and carpenters and joiners and cabinet makers. So grandfather, joiner and cabinet maker. My father's a builder. We still do have a building company as well, or building business. So I grew up in the family business, so to speak, and just went through there. And landscaping in the family business was building, but my entrepreneurial father bought a fencing business as well, and it was going downhill. And he thought he'd inject a bit of heart and soul and turn it around to be one of the leading fencing businesses in Sydney. And I actually came into the fold. So I went through banking and finance, started with that, and ended up, and then little dabble in that when I got straight out of school actually, and then ended up in advertising and printing, and then into the family business and stayed there for 10, 15 years and ended up running the family business as well with my dad. And then the diversity happened is when we moved in, we actually migrated down here to live, is I had a marriage breakdown and had to have a rethink of life and decided that I had a 3-year time out and I was a bum for about 3 years and still had my ute and just drove around up and down Australia on the east coast and lived in, I did 3 snow seasons. So I was a snow bum. I was a beach bum, so I lived on Hamilton Island and lived in all the, Noosa and Byron Bay. And did that for 3 years until I really didn't know. I just didn't want to get back into any work, didn't want to do anything. But the saving grace was hospitality. I love food, I love wine. And before being the entrepreneur like my father, while I was in the family business, so it was hard working with my father, and I saw there was a few challenges that I saw that he and I had different management styles. He was old school, I was new school, trying to introduce new ways of doing business, and he basically said no. So, being the loyal son, I just went along with it. And then when the GST hit, actually, in the year 2000, my father said, "I am not going through this. I am not going to run a business through the GST. I don't want to do it." So he just shut the whole business down.
Oh, really?
And I said, "I'll take over." He goes, "No, you're not taking it over." I went, "Okay, all right, I won't take over." So that's when my marriage decided to go downhill as well. But when my dad, he didn't instantly say that, but he saw that he wouldn't be able to cope with the with the year 2000, so with the GSC coming in. So I always wanted to be a chef. I went, righto, I'll fulfill my food passion. I went and bought a restaurant. And so for 3 years, I ran a restaurant at night and I was building during the day. And ran 2 businesses, and that's where all my food and all my knowledge and stuff like that was. I was trying to transgress into a different industry, because construction back then was pretty good, but we had the fencing company as well, which actually went nuts. And I'm probably going back and forth here, but the reason where landscaping came in is the fencing business, the people we were doing work for with Department of Housing, all those and councils, they asked us to do landscaping as well. And we'd always subby that out or get other guys to come in and help us out. But it got to a point where we couldn't rely on a lot of the guys. So my dad and I, when we were doing our other building work, I said, "Look, I'll take it on because I still love plants." And that's where it all morphed. Like, that's where it all started. And then when all the businesses, when the construction business actually folded, I, through my own resource, I went back to went back to night school as well after I sold the restaurants and all that, and got all my construction certificates updated. Went back to school, got everything done for landscaping, all the building stuff. And I spent 2 years updating all my credentials after everything got sold out. And so then I started Outside Space 14 years ago. So the progression or the transgression was actually quite beneficial for me at the time.
Yeah.
It morphed our business into a different animal. We concentrated on hospitality and food spaces as well when we're doing gardens.
All right.
So I had that background. People, with outdoor kitchens, outdoor dining, it actually worked very well for us because we're doing a lot of that work as well. And it had a really good fit and a nice fit. And still to this day, it still has a really good fit. So the food and, with people, when they're doing gardens, we always try and incorporate food or edibles or production.
Yep.
And morph that into really nice gardens and, turn things around instead of people, they thought food gardens were quite all about permaculture and raised garden beds that are all, dilapidated but now they're all coming to their fall.
All right. So how did you start did you have staff from the family business that you used to start the Outside Space?
No, I did it all myself.
All right.
Yeah, and then I brought in subcontractors as well to help out with the bigger stuff. And that's how I ran the business for about 3 years.
Yeah.
Until, actually, no, it was 5 years, until I started hiring people. I went, oh, how good's this? I've got people on the ground that I need to employ, and we all work as a team and actually do this work, as opposed to subbies waiting for subbies. And it was, I wouldn't say it was a struggle. It was actually quite good because these guys their skill is their skill, and you get them in while you need them, and that's and I still use them to these days. So I think there is a benefit from, especially in construction, you use people who are better than you, who have the knowledge, and whatever your strengths are, you run to it and work to them. And that's, for me, that's how that works, and that's how I run our business.
And how many full-time staff would you have on now?
We have a mix actually. Full time it's about 4 to 5, so it's 5, and then we have casuals and subbies, and subbies can stretch up to about 12, 15. But our main employee ratio is about, I would say there's 8 staff in total. There's a couple of admin in the office, myself, and then there's 4 or 5 guys doing construction and maintenance. So
how many did you say in the office?
2.
Yep.
Yeah, 2 part-time and myself.
Yep.
So doing admin. And then there's, the guys out in the field. So, and we do the split. So there's 1 dedicated guy doing the hort work and the maintenance. And then we have a subby as well. And then there's myself, or the apprentice will go out and do some maintenance as well. But
you do design as well?
We do. We don't predominantly advertise that we do it.
Yeah.
We rather work with guys, like there's there's other designers that we work for. Predominantly, we actually do a lot of work for architects and designers, and that's our main work. But our other focus is on alts and ads or renovations on gardens. We specialise in that, turning things around and making them more cutting edge and up to standard, like basically up to what people want these days.
Yep.
And what they see on social media. That's our guide, I guess, at the moment. And we'll transform gardens into really fab.
So do you do any advertising, or does a lot of your work come from the designers and architects that you're working for?
Look, we do just the traditional type of work, type of advertising or marketing. It is predominantly website and social media.
Yep.
Is pretty big for us. Instagram as much. We find Pinterest is quite big for us as well. The imagery is very, very, I think, is the most important for our industry, where people are quite visual. I'm quite visual, and that's the way I kind of work. I need to see things. I 2D, 3D. I mean, 3D is quite fab, but 2D is very difficult for a lot of people. And trying to transform that or transfer that on a block of land or their yard, it's very, very hard. So we go through a fairly rigorous process with the client.
Yep.
After 2D, if it gets to a point where we need to design, I really don't have the time to spend time in an office to jump on a CAD or anything like that. So it's pretty much a mud map, hand sketch, and say, right, this is what we can do. We can do, we can change this whole space however we really want. So, and I guess the bonus really there is it's the years of construction and architecture and all that type of stuff that I've been exposed to is probably where we've probably got our legs up. We've got our rungs on the board as opposed to a younger landscaper coming in and just going, we can do this type of work.
Yeah.
I think that's where the strength is in experience and time on the tools and time out there doing it.
I think also your reputation within the community would help a lot, because I saw on your website the amount of stuff that you've done for community as well is quite a fair old list. I had to write it down because there was too much for me to remember.
Oh.
But it is you've been involved with the Stephanie Alexander Kitchen Garden Foundation, the Sydney Children's Hospital School, RSPCA, Madison Capaldi Research Fund, and Mission Australia. Yeah, and there was more stuff on there as well. So what started you to give back?
So the motivation to that is it really started from the first one was the Stephanie Alexander Kitchen Garden. I heard it on the radio. Was it on the radio? Yes. That when we first started, actually, about 14. Probably about 12 or 13 years ago, actually. A school had a kitchen garden and teenagers came in and destroyed it. And the kids were just devastated because this is when all the kitchen gardens were starting. The food gardens, the kids were actually cooking their own food in their schools, and there was funding available not funding externally, but the schools were actually raising funds themselves to build these food gardens and planter boxes and so they can actually learn cooking, the students. And Yeah, I heard on the radio that some mongrels came in and destroyed this little kids' gardens, like these little children's gardens. I went, stuff this, we're going to come in and fix it. So I rang the school and said, do you need someone to fix it? And they went, what do you mean? I said, we're going to pay money. Like, you don't have to pay anything. Just tell us what you need and we'll fix it. And it just more from then. I mean, the smiles on the kids' faces, and it ended up getting some press that we weren't even really looking, like we didn't even want press. We didn't want any favours or anything like that. But it just so happened to, the governor, Mary Bashir, opened their actual kitchen. So we got to meet the governor. Graham Ross, he found out, he rang us and said, I need to have a talk to you. So we're on radio, and things just morphed from there. And it wasn't about, we're not about notoriety. We're not about having pins on our chest. It was just more seeing people happy. So we give a fair bit back. We work with, we work with the charities that we've said.
Yeah.
And we don't take a lot of money. We just do it for the love and for the work.
For the right reasons.
Yeah. And if it pays off, it pays off. But I think the biggest things for us is the smiles on faces and the relief that you give people, because there's not a lot of people who want to help people out there at the moment. And we're in a really lovely trade. The green stuff gives back, as you can see. It's all green, it's healthy, it's really good for you, it makes people happy.
Yeah, there's a lot of work being done at hospitals as well, putting plants in there because they can see the health benefits it gives to the patients.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
That's right. So we, I think for that's the reason why we do that type of work. Or that's my reason, that's my drive. And the flow-on effects are amazing, but we don't chase, the whatever people want to chase after it. But look, we've been very grateful to meet lovely people, and I think a lot of other people should give back if they're in a position to give back. Why not?
Yeah.
And if your business is doing well, however that may be, there's no reason why you can't give back to your community.
And I saw prior to interviewing, I tried to do a bit of research and saw you've been a bit involved in other things as well, like yourself personally. And I saw you're the president of the North Illawarra Chamber of Commerce as well?
Yeah.
So
I've, going back before that, my career, for landscaping, although I love it, I think there's more that I can do and progress in. So I'm more about, one, education, but two, building a professional career as well, just out of wherever you are. So I just, I always wanted, I just didn't want to be a landscaper. Although I love it, it's the thing that I enjoy, but it doesn't fuel me all the time. There's just something else, and I love business, so that's why I get involved. I'm passionate about, and everyone uses that word a lot, don't they? Passion.
well, it's the right word to use.
Yeah, it's more about if I see something that's not right, I'm going to put my hat in the ring and have a crack and just say, right, I've got something to offer here. I'm going to put up my hand and not, instead of sitting on the sidelines and bitching about and saying, someone should do this and just you should do that and should do that. I ended up, from an industry point of view, I didn't like the way things were going in the industry from a profession.
Yep.
It was always touted as a boys' club, all that type of stuff. And so I ended up, went, well, this is not right. It doesn't have to be a boys' club. It's actually quite a really inclusive industry, and it can be. So for me at the time, this was back 8 years ago or more, I put my hand up and said I want to be on the board of directors of the LNA back then, or the LCA. It's a Landscape Contractors Association of New South Wales. So, and that happened. I ended up getting a position on the board. I was on the board for 6 years. Ended up finally, I resigned from the board as a vice president. after that. But, we made a lot of inroads professionally for the industry, for definitely New South Wales. And it's going from strength to strength. And, there was a lot of guys and girls, actually, a lot of ladies. I think we were the first one. Don't quote me on this. We employed the first female CEO of an industry, like a landscape industry. I could be wrong, but it seemed like that at the time. Yep. And that was actually quite uplifting because it was different. We were trying to create a point of difference for our cause in New South Wales, but also generally around Australia. And then while I was on the board, I went, you know what, we can be doing more. Maybe let's go global. So off my own bat, Chelsea was coming up. I knew Charlie O'Byrne was going to be there. And I went, I'll go over as the representative of New South Wales and support him. He lives from New South Wales, so I'm going to support him as a fellow landscaper. Went over. If I had to work, I'd put on the gloves and work with him. Yeah. Never happened, unfortunately, but I was really keen to work. But I had my family in tow as well. Yeah. But while I was over there, I ended up meeting the chairmen of our affiliates in UK. So the president and the chairmen of the Landscape Contractors Association over there had a meeting. We ended up having MOUs developed. So we now have a mutual understanding of the UK and the New South Wales. And then I ended up going over there to Europe as well and meeting the chairman of the landscape contractors, over there. And we set up an MOU back in the day as well.
Yeah, cool.
And that, to me, that was a really great experience because what people do, how landscape is in Europe and the UK is way different to what we're experiencing over here. And so our thought at the time, or my thought was, well, if we've got so much overseas, bring it all over here and we can emulate what they're doing over here. And so from that point, it was just an amazing opportunity to meet these people.
Absolutely, yeah.
And they welcomed me with open arms and said, keep in touch all the time. It's great to see you guys. We love Aussies. The Australians are really, really renowned worldwide for really good work. Yeah. And it was refreshing to hear from overseas that Australia is, on top of the game in landscape. And we're highly regarded. So I was quite proud to hear
absolutely
that, and they're always happy to employ Australian people overseas. So it was my duty to go back and report. And I said to the industry back in New South Wales, said, we have a really good opportunity for the young people to experience the whole world now, not just in Australia. So if people want to travel overseas, there's an opportunity for them to, or there's a springboard for them, or a platform for them to go and work overseas as well if they want to. So, yeah, I don't know what's happened now, but that was back then. That's
You're
what
not involved anymore there?
Oh, my only involvement at the moment is I'm just on committees.
Yep.
Just on small committees at the moment. But then I've gone down a different road with business. Yep. So president of the Chamber of Commerce, yep, the local. And try to instill a bit of professionalism in our business, like our local business, but also just the camaraderie like we have in the landscape industry. I want to have that as local businesses as well, because we really enjoy the camaraderie in the landscaping circle.
Yeah. And
I think, from the way I like to work is I can't do it all by myself. If we have a collective to help each other, this world will be a fantastic place. So, and that's why, ever since I started the landscape business, I've always worked with other people. I just don't want to go alone and be a lone ranger and think I'm the best. I'm not. I have other people who are really good around me, and other people, teams, subbies, other landscape people. I always collaborate with others. There's no reason why you have to do this alone and work alone.
Well, you get better and you enjoy it more.
I learn every day.
Exactly.
Learning every day. It's great.
So do you know what sort of messages the Landscape Association is trying to push now? Because I know in Victoria it's about getting landscapers registered. Is that an issue in New South Wales?
It's always been, I think that's right across the board. It's professionalism, it's about licensing, it's about insurance, it's about qualifications as well. I think it's a struggle. It's always, and I don't think it's the landscape industry either. It's just trades in general.
Yeah.
The building industry are going through it, plumbers, electricians. It's just a common thing that we're trying to wipe out. We want people to be professional, as I keep saying, but they got to be licensed. They got to have the right education behind them to do the right work. They're out in the marketplace. They're not doing anyone any favours if they just do. Look, I'll speak for the landscape industry. They always call cowboys, like it or love it, but they are. There's no reason for them to be a cowboy. There's pathways, there's education, there's support. There is no reason for why these guys or girls need to go out in the market and destroy the industry. We're all here to help. All you have to do is pick up the phone. I'm not an animal. I love when other people ring me, and I love when I call other people for help because I can least express and everyone has a chat. I don't understand this us and them mentality. And I think if we're all trying to fight for the same cause, which is professionalism and doing really, really good work and integrity, there's no reason why people have to be unqualified, but also go around and be, cowboys. I just don't see the need for that. No. But I'm not going to change the world. No one's going to change the world. That's the way of the world. But it's just a shame that people are doing lovely work and it gets destroyed by the minority.
Yeah. It's interesting seeing that it's the same in different states, because I assume Queensland, WA and SA, they're pushing that as well.
Yeah. The sad part is we've got all states, and this is just my opinion, right? All the states are all fragmented. There's no whole national framework like the master builders or SPAs or all those other guys. If we all talk together and commute and actually collate our information, have a whole national framework, there's so many. New South Wales do their own thing, Victoria do their own thing, South Australia do their own thing, WA do their own thing. They have similarities, but there all should be a national framework. I don't know who's going to, what the magic wand is or what the magic is there, but I don't understand why everyone has to be fragmented. And there's this us and them mentality. Victoria this, New South Wales are this, Queensland are this. We're all in the same industry.
Yeah.
We're all doing the same work. There's no reason why I don't know if it's a fight. I don't think so. I think it's an ego thing maybe. I don't see why it's needed.
Yeah, they're trying to push the same message pretty much as well. So,
yeah, we're all doing the same work. We all should have the same educational standards and curriculum and what comes out of it. But I don't understand, but I'm just a little landscaper. So,
what's next for Outside Space? Do you have any plans to grow or?
No, we're like a little niche, little style of business. I guess the only thing for us is little different markets. We don't just do construction, and that's our predominant aim or predominant work that we do is landscape construction. We do. We've morphed into pools as well, so we do some of those installs. We do maintenance. Obviously, that's another little revenue stream. But look, we're just looking for different things all the time. I am a little bit of a shiny object type of guy as well, which I want to experience all and do whatever I can with everything. But sometimes that doesn't work. Also, I like to change it up a little for our staff as well. I don't like to do the same thing all the time. So we'll chase different markets just to dip our toes in. We've done TV, still doing TV, like yourself. We do commercial, we do special projects, we do Christmas displays, indoor displays, all that type of stuff that are out of left field.
Yep.
But it's just challenging our minds and challenging the staff and just doing something completely different. That's kind of exciting for me. I'm not a long project type of guy. I can't stay on one project for months. It just kills me. It's just my brain. I just don't. And I think the clients as well don't like that they see the same people. Well, tradies day in, day out, you're kind of part of their family, and I don't like that. They're getting upset, and everyone else, there's a bit of tension there. Or you can cut a knife through that tension. So for me, I like smaller jobs, and that take us, we can still create the same results from a smaller job, but we don't have to be there for months and months, and they're not big budgets either. We've done big budget work, and it just cash flow hurts, and just I'm not interested. I'm just not interested in that type of stuff.
Yeah, that's it.
I don't need to chase that. I've done it. We've all done it, I think, and it's just fine-tuning the business and fine-tuning your niche. And, we do coastal gardens and beach gardens and all that type of stuff. So we're actually, I think, we're kind of in a nice little space.
Yeah. So the last question I'll ask you, and then we can get the fire started.
Yeah, it's freezing.
Is what is your favourite plant?
Favourite plant?
Yeah.
I would say, wish you threw this on me before. You know what? It's the cheap and cheap. It's not even cheap and cheerful. It's actually the hardiest, and I love it. It's a Raphiolepis oriental pearl.
Yep.
I just love how that just forms over time, and it produces a beautiful flower, but it's tough as nails, and it's still a beautiful sculptural plant when it's in its space.
Yeah.
For me, I think that's a winner, and it kind of works in all gardens mostly, whether you're doing beach or Asian or anything like that. I think that's
a good one.
Yeah.
All right.
All right. Thanks, Joel.
Thank you very much for your time and freezing
This has
out
been
here.
great. Love it.
Yeah. Thank you very much.
Thanks, mate.